Hello, welcome to this week's edition of MMA News, and we're just going to jump right into it once again. So this last weekend was UFC on Fuel TV, taking place on the same night as the canceled Strikeforce fight. Strikeforce Healy versus Melendez. But anyways, so what happened was it was a good show of fight night style fights in Nottingham, England, and they had a good number of fights. The first main card fight was Che Mills against Duane Ludwig. Ludwig being a veteran, Che Mills recently jumped against the UFC, but he has been in fighting for a while, and it was a bizarre. It was a good fight, but ended in a bizarre way because there was just a point where, they got up and they grappled, and then Ludwig just went down to the ground, and then it was, Che Mills was, tending, being a good sport, tending to him, stuff like that. But it was a bizarre way of ending because you couldn't really tell how he lost, and the doctor did kind of come in and examine him, so. Obviously, it was something, but it's hard to tell how exactly he lost. So, anyways, then the next fight was two British guys, John Hathaway, John McGuire. It went the distance. Was a pretty good fight. Ended in the 30-27. Then you had Matt Wyman versus Paul Sass. That was a pretty good fight. Ended in an armbar. Then at bantamweight, you had Brad Pickett go against Yves Jabouin, and he got a pretty good knockout going there. Then in the co-main event, you had Dan Hardy, who'd been, he's kind of hit some hard times in the UFC, but here he was coming out and going against Amir Sadallah, and he, they went the distance, and he ended up winning. Amir put on, the Hardy he actually did pretty well. He actually did a bit of grappling. Amir has been kind of struggling since winning the Ultimate Fighter to basically find his place in the UFC, and there are just Ultimate Fighter winners that do that. There's Ultimate Fighter competitors who do better in the UFC than Ultimate Fighter winners. That's just how it goes in that career. That's just how careers go. But then in the main event, you had the skyscraper Stefan Struve go against Stipe Miocic, and depending upon how you look at it, Struve is either 6'11" or he's 7 foot. He's an extremely tall guy. And unlike Tim Sylvia, who was a tall guy and had to cut weight, Struve doesn't have to cut weight. He's a solid around 250. But this fight, he made a he had some trouble in the first round, but then in the second round, he actually started using his reach. And he made he definitely made a case for him possibly being in title contention. He'd obviously have to go through quite a few other fighters. There's a few top 10 heavyweights that he would have to go through. Like, he lost to Roy Nelson. He lost to, I think, Fabricio No, I'm not. Okay. Dos Santos. He lost to Dos Santos before he became champion. So he's fought against some people, but he just hasn't. But the top fighters he went against, he would lose. But then he'd go against mediocre to kind of lower heavyweights, and he'd do just great. He's definitely got some potential in the UFC. Obviously, as I said, he's still got to work on some things, but he's definitely got the potential's there. So he keeps working on it, keeps improving. I do see him eventually fighting for title contention eventually. So that was UFC on Fuel TV last weekend. Um, it was nice that I think it was kind of fate that the UFC had that Zuffa had something to fall back on when Strikeforce fell through. So that was that.